All right. I think we are live. Hey, Wendy.
Hi, Sharif. Hi, Beth.
Hi.
Thank you for speaking with us today. I really just wanted to, really just get your experience in a really basic kind of way, just because you've had such a journey coming through the Led by Love program, which you've just come to the end to now. And it's really been such a pleasure for us, really, witnessing you learn so many things, have so many sort of shifts. Some of them are subtle, some of them quite profound, but what I would really love to sort of start with is getting an idea of where you were at the time when you found us, when we spoke and you came into the Led by Love program. What was going on for you? Where were you at in yourself and in your journey, I suppose?
Yeah. I was 2 years post ending a very, very long-term relationship, a relationship that spanned pretty much my whole adult life, right? So, very, a lot of attachment there to this person. And so I was in the process of kind of turning inward and working on my self-development, reading lots of books, consuming a lot of podcasts, and really anything I could find, right? First, the first part of that journey was just kind of processing the grief around a divorce, and the loss of that. And then it was more, okay, I think I'm at a spot now where I've processed those things and I feel pretty good, but there's more to do here and I feel stuck now. Like, I don't know. I just, like, what more can I read? Right? What more can what other podcasts can I find? And throughout that journey, I don't even know how I found your content, honestly. Serendipity, right? But I had been following you for a while, and everything you posted really resonated with me. Um, but it was all about, like relating and conscious relating and the unhealed man. And I'm like, gosh, I don't think I'm ready for a man for dating, for anything. Like, it feels so scary to me, right? But deep down inside, I felt like, but I really do want that, right? I want an opportunity to have a different type of relationship. But how do I get there? And so through one of the videos that you posted, that really spoke to my heart. Like, that video really spoke to my heart. And I knew right away I had to like book that clarity call and talk to you. And like, all the stars aligned. I found like a spot on the calendar, I think, for the following day. And I'm like, I don't care what's on my schedule. I'm going to move it because I need to speak to this guy like tomorrow. That's what I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you.
It's really beautiful. So you mentioned that you had been reading books and some podcasts. I don't know if you want to share a little bit about what you tried, or maybe that was it, and maybe how LBL has been different to what you tried before.
Yeah. So yes, I did some online courses as well. I did forget to mention that. And a lot of that content that I was consuming, I did find beneficial, and just like from a standpoint of learning about attachment styles and just what does healthy relating look like, red flags, right? And like what to avoid when you're dating and putting yourself out there, how to have boundaries. And so a lot of those things, right? And they were all great. But the video that I referenced earlier that you had posted that really spoke to me, in it, you talked about how feeding your mind and continue to feed your mind wasn't going to change the trajectory of your life, right? Because we have this long history of where we've kind of our nervous system has been trained in a certain way, and it's just a default, right? And just we always kind of fall into that same track, no matter what our brain knows, right? Because the body just kind of like, it just takes you there automatically. And so how do you change that? And you mentioned in that video, you need to retrain your nervous system, right?
Mm.
And that really spoke to me because I like my brain, like I know so much stuff, right? But can I trust myself to actually use that and change my life and what that looks like moving forward? No. I need to learn more about this. And so I think that's the key difference with the Led by Love program, is that it's not just more knowledge, right? That yes, there is a learning component, a lot of valuable information, but it's the practices, right? The embodiment practices and connecting to your heart and to your body. And that for me was the major difference of any other program that I tried before, from a personal development, because it's totally different when you know it here versus when you know it here. Yeah.
That's it, and honestly, like, I think it's got to be 90 to 95% of the women who have come through the program already knew so much stuff. They knew about the attachment theory, they had read all the books, knew the red flags and all that kind of stuff. But as you said, it's one thing to know it, and it's another thing to kind of embody it and to have this bodily knowing, this deep knowing inside. And that's what we do. Primarily we're embodiment teachers, sort of, before anything else, in the sort of counseling and coaching realm as well. But so I'm curious then, what some of your main, I know, there's so many modules and different things to learn, and all sorts of mind-blowing moments and all that. But I guess for you, what stands out as some of the main transformations or shifts that you've experienced, and whether that's embodied or even on the learning level, or how you feel? Yeah. What stands out for you, would you say?
Gosh, there's so many that I could pick from, right? Okay. I think one of the first ones for me was embodying your no. And so, I had read tons of books about boundaries and how to set boundaries and all that stuff. But what does that feel like in the body, and how is that different? Like before my no, when I did express it, which I usually did not, right? I kind of just allowed things to happen that I wasn't okay with. But when I did express the no, it was a very anxious no, rapid heart rate and nervousness and fear around how is this message going to land with the other person, and taking ownership of their feelings for it, and just, not healthy at all. And, the practices in the program really teach you to kind of just get grounded and centered and really connect to what that no feels like. And when you are able to express that no, it comes across so much more differently, right? It feels calm and integrity, but also with an open heart. Like it's not mean. It's like a no. It's just very knowing. Like it's just you just embody that no, and it comes across a lot more differently, and it feels very different in the body as well.
Yeah, and that's super common, right? Is this feeling of, if I say no, I'm going to get in trouble, or I'm going to hurt somebody, and then maybe they'll hurt me back, and that kind of feeling, which creates that basically adrenaline rush, that acute stress response, which is the sort of that unsettled feeling. And so now you have this sort of confidence in your ability to deliver a no, and a sense of safety that brings, right?
Yeah. So that was a big one for me, a big shift. Would you like me to share others? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. I think for me too, probably, and this is something that I'm still kind of working in the discovery phase of it, because it's very brand new for me, is really discovering my inner femininity, right? And, which is different from being feminine, because I do consider myself a feminine woman. I like to look pretty, and I like my makeup, and I like my nice clothes, right? But it's not that, right? It's something different when we talk about the feminine energy. And I think that for a long time, I've been very scared of that, and the power that represents, and being able to allow that side of me to come forth, right? And to kind of share it with the world. And so that's something that was like completely off my radar. Like, I didn't even know this was a thing for me until we got into that content, and I started, and I'm like, wow, like there's a lot to uncover here, you know? And I started some of that work with Beth. You know, we've done a coaching session as well, one-on-one. And that's an area that I still feel is, you know, still shifting, but it's I'm very excited about exploring that part of me and really embodying that feminine.
Well, I'm really, I love that you made that distinction, because I was thinking, you know, so many women watching this, as you say, she struggled with her feminine, like what, you know, they're looking like, really, you know, but it's just not the same thing, right? You know,
And I think that fear you have, right? Like, you know, I think I, you know, in my life, I created a shell around certain parts of me, and that's a part of me that I've kept, you know, held very close, and felt very scary to express. And so now feeling a lot more confident and powerful, and just being able to embody that, and just, you know, it's one of the gifts that we have as women, right? And yeah, I'm very excited about that part of the program, honestly.
Yeah, and I think that was a part that from the beginning, Wendy, I think Sharif and I were looking forward to, and that you because it takes a lot of vulnerability and bravery, you know, and you were able to surrender to being a bit messy and being authentic, you know, showing up as you are, you know, in all of your rawness and beauty for us, you know, and honesty. And I think that is something that it can be so difficult for so many women. It's so often conditioned out of us, and it's so much about everyone else and what everyone else thinks and what everyone else sees and what everyone else wants, and we just lose touch with what we want. And who cares what they want? Right. What I want, you know, and what I see and what I like, and who am I? So that was so beautiful.
Yeah, and you know, I have to say, actually, Wendy, I don't know if I ever, or if we ever shared it with you on any of the calls, but there was a noticeable shift. So if I think back to your first few sort of calls with us in the program, there was this sort of
perfect, you know, the good girl, the good girl,
which is really nice. And then it's not that you ever really, I don't think we ever really saw you fall apart or like get like, you know, crazy messy, as you know, in the typical understanding of it. But as Beth said, it's this authenticity that's come through, and so now that we have this really grounded, open, and really real Wendy, which without any major changes to any external appearance, and yet there's a radiance that comes through because of that. And it's so counterintuitive, right? It's so different from putting something on. It's instead actually not doing anymore and allowing something to come through. And you hit the nail on the head, which is this sort of good girl Wendy. And I think that was probably another big sort of thing for you that came up.
Yeah. A lot of people pleasing in my history, a lot of self-abandoning, a lot of what Beth mentioned, you know, catering to other people's needs and wants, and ignoring really what I wanted or felt, and just really not making it a priority at all, right? Just giving from a really empty place, right?
Yeah. And so what's I suppose something to sort of define and clarify perhaps is the opposite of good girl then. Are you now like mega bitch tearing people's eyes out all over the place, or what?
Not at all. I just think I'm more myself, right? It just feels really, you know, what was always there. You know, if I were to go back to the little girl, right, and what qualities she possessed and got lost along the way in this journey into adulthood, it's kind of rediscovering what was already there, what I already had, really, and bringing it forth
Yeah, well, yeah, that's beautiful. And that was the other thing I wanted to say is really what has been a part of your journey, and really for so many of the women is not just necessarily learning new things or becoming a new you, but there's some sort of coming home, right? There's some sort of returning home, and you're sort of that little girl part of you that maybe didn't get fully honored, seen, witnessed, given permission in your real life, so to speak, is something that we see you doing for yourself now, and it's such a powerful thing. I mean, yeah, do you have anything reflections on that, or what that means for you now?
What that means for me. Can you rephrase the question?
Yeah, well, it can. I guess I've sort of combined two questions that I wanted to ask you. One is this sort of around this coming home to yourself. Yeah, what about that? First of all, let me separate the questions.
How does it feel to come
Yeah,
home to myself?
yeah, and what's been your experience of that? I mean, I suppose it's what we've been
Uh,
speaking about, but
Lots of joy. Lots of joy. It it feels. I think I'd mentioned earlier that it, or you maybe mentioned it, was it's like I'm falling in love with myself, right? Like I'm discovering all these things that I guess I forgot, right, that were there, and um, just being open to new experiences and new ways of being, and not trying to close up or or not go there. It's like the world feels very wide open right now for me, right?
wow.
Yeah, like I'm very excited about the journey ahead, which I can't say that I was in this place before this program, right? Like, you know,
Mhm.
uh, before this program, I'm like, yeah, given what I've been through, I'm in a pretty good spot. And most people would say that I'm coping very well, but coping, right, is the key word there, coping. I wasn't thriving. I wasn't flourishing. Um, and now it's like there's just this renewed sense of like excitement and joy and love and hope about where I am and where I'm going.
Wow, that's very beautiful. And as you said, that sort of this the world feels really wide and open, for like exploring. That really just captures what I think we sense in you and where you're at, and which kind of I guess leads to my final question actually, unless Beth had something else. But what is next for you? Where are you at like now? And it's not about sort of perfection or anything like that, right? But it's about, as you said, this world opening up in a different way, and a new relationship to yourself. And so, yeah, do you have a sense of where do you go from here? What's
Yeah.
next?
So I can say that the fear that I had of, finding a new relationship, finding something that feels really good and is healthy, um, has dissipated, right? Because now I feel confident that, like, let's like take it back to the very beginning, and that video that you had posted about knowing versus feeling and embodying, right? Now I have the two, right? I have the mind and I have the knowledge, but I also know what that feels like, and so now I feel more that there's more confidence and self-trust, right? That wasn't there before. That makes me feel like that's not a scary thing anymore. Like, would I say that I'm ready to date tomorrow? No, but not because I don't have the yearning for that relationship that I know is out there waiting for me, or it's not that I'm scared. It's just that I'm enjoying the process of self-discovery right now, and so I just want to like take advantage of that and kind of just surrender to that. And I know that by doing that, that's going to kind of lead me to my next best step, right? And just things will align for me, and I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
You got it. You got it. You worded it so perfectly. That is the thing, and sort of, obviously your whole journey isn't really about men, right? That's the gateway. That's the problem at the front end of of everything, right? But then that's what sort of brought us together here to do this work. But ultimately, it's about your journey and your relationship to yourself. But then the side effect of that is, the truth is, what is most attractive to a conscious man, or a man who's, just not an unhealed man, as we talk about so often in the groups, but is a woman who is in love with herself, and not in the Instagram selfie narcissistic kind of way necessarily, but as you are. It's somebody who is living a life on purpose, as Beth loves to say. That's Beth's magic, is really helping women live on purpose and find their purpose. And that's what's happening here. And by purpose, that can mean whatever it means, but it's that relationship to self, and somebody who is at home in themselves, which is what is so clearly happening for you now. So we're very excited for you too.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's been wonderful. And is there anything else you wanted to sort of put out there before we wrap it up?
Well, I just have so much gratitude, and I've said this before, but I want the world to know that I have a lot of gratitude for Beth and Sharif and the work that you do, because I do feel it's transformational. It really is. Speaking as someone who has done a lot of self-development work and has worked with different coaches and completed several online programs, which all had value. But I just feel like this program is just completely something totally different, and really kind of set me on course to that next level that I needed to get to. So thank you. Thank you for that. And then the other thing that I would say is, whoever's watching this video, if you're on a similar path where you feel like, you're doing all the right things to work on yourself, and you're reading all the books, and you're doing the podcasts, and you're doing the workbooks, and you feel like stuck and you're not getting anywhere, maybe think about that. Think about, is it here, or is it in your body and in your heart? And if you need help with that embodiment, then Beth and Sharif really are the perfect people to work with you. So.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you for that testament, and thank you for showing up so bravely and consistently. Yeah. And it's infectious, the place you're in now.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And also thank you for sharing that wisdom actually with everybody too, because you have such an embodied understanding of how all this works now. That distinction you make between the head and the heart, and sharing that piece is, I really appreciate you doing that too. So thank you so much. It's been an honor, Wendy. And of course, we'll be seeing you around. It's not like we part ways now. We don't, the journey never quite ends as such. So we'll see you on the other side too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Oh, amazing. Thank you, Wendy.